There is a hunger in every human being. It's not only just for food or status, but for a certain state of mind, or a certain way of living. Now, most of us feed that hunger with scraps, and we scrape by on leftover thoughts, old hurts, and the mental chatter we inherited without ever questioning it. And then we wonder why we feel so lost. Now, the first work I want you to do in here is clarity, because you must know where the mind actually stands in this present moment. It is surprisingly easy to misjudge even your own soul's true intentions. Now, you can dwell for years in a beautiful imaginative state and still remain planted in the same old feelings. The picture is lovely, but the soil has not yet changed. So, begin here, clarifying the heart. I want you to look without defense. What is the real feeling running underneath those words you speak to yourself? Because once that clarity arrives, a switch becomes possible. Sometimes life forces the switch through circumstance. Sometimes faith in a new possibility invites it. Either way, something must move. The natural way you look at the world was shaped by your internal perception, meeting an outer environment. The outer environment is what it is. Freedom, however, is created by the internal one. So identify the habit of attention in the place where it first took root. That is the beginning of the change. Focus is the next demand. Not forced concentration, but sustained attention on a chosen object, held with feeling. Calm belief in yourself, protected from the well-meaning voices of those who are closest to you, who cannot yet see what you see. Because when focus drifts, and it will, simply set it again on the new site. You see, over time, this repeated return resets the entire thinking, feeling arrangement of the mind. And the intention behind that focus must be pure, and not for pride, not for ego, not to inflict or to destroy. The highest love is the love that pleases the soul without harming another, because anything less carries its own return. I want you to consider the food you feed the mind. The constant inner dialogue is the bread you eat every day. Now, some of us were fed bitter bread early in childhood, or in seasons of harshness when vulnerability or weakness meant ignorance and the mind was twisted. Now, those old thoughts keep circulating by simple repetition until a new agreement is made. The bitter produces bitter, rotten fruit spreads rot. A negative mind consumes whatever good appears. Yet the one who understands this becomes wise. So choose the sweet bread. Feed yourself thoughts that create an uplifting presence of actuality. Intention is the blueprint. Now, when the mind and the heart agree, an idea is conceived. And that agreement is the feeling. The body then acts, not the body alone, but the body moved by the inner decision. Meditation itself is intentional. Controlled attention turned upon itself with clarity about what is to be done. So examine every intention that seeks to cause pain. The law is exact. Ill will returns to its sender. The same law serves the good of the world when the intention is clean. Attention given thoroughly to a pure intention makes a person wise and makes them conscious. And most people live under emotional attention. The mind observes something, instantly forms an interpretation, and emotion arises. Because the thought that caused the emotion is invisible, and the emotion marches forward as an action with no higher reason guiding it. Emotion and the dwelling thought agree, and emotion leads most of the time. The act comes from below, fire without light. Pride then protects the pattern, and the higher sight is lost. And there are many kinds of attention available to us. Some feed knowledge, some violence, some peace, some feed power, some love, some hate, some discovery. The brain is a garden. Now, whatever seed is planted, watered with words, and sustained by belief, eventually becomes a full-grown reality. And manifestation is simply the individual becoming the idea so completely that no one can distinguish the idea from the person. This is why titles deceive. People respect the title because the person has become what they believe themselves to be. Positive attention is the harder path. It is a climb against gravity. Negative attention is easy because it pulls downward and makes everything feels heavy. It makes everything feel solid. It makes everything feel real. Flying begins in the mind long before it appears in the outer world. Because energy itself is neutral, it's creative and destructive at once, like electricity. Left wild, it burns cities. Controlled, it lights them and protects what is valuable. The mind is an antenna. It, it tunes to whatever frequency it is trained to receive. Most remain the beasts of the field, led by cumulative negative charge until a small perceived disrespect becomes the spark that ignites everything. We must be careful for this. Consciousness is the difference. The angelic side is real, but it is often unseen and therefore is feared. We wear masks because truth feels vulnerable and plain. We prefer the painted version. We trust only what we can see, what we can hear or touch, forgetting that even mountains change. Validity itself is an idea joined to a feeling. Nothing becomes real without the three creative functions, which is thinking, feeling, and producing. Character, like the soul, is invisible to ordinary vision, so few take time to test it. Do not be hasty to credit anyone. Titles fall, and charm can be costumed. Watch the small things over time. Every deliberate act of giving attention to what is lovely should become a private religious ritual for you. Faith is fortune. Belief is identity. What begins as theory becomes actuality through sustained feeling-based attention. Love and do good, and choose peace. Choose your own destiny. Greet the person beside you and expect good from them, from a pure heart. The climb is the work, my people, and the garden is watered by a return. Thank you.